Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to do my VCT Pacific power rankings. Going to go through all 11 teams, rank them into these 5 tiers, and kind of just give some reasoning about every team, kind of recap what they did in the transfer window or what they did during the last split, everything like that. So if you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll be updating these every week in video format on this channel, so stay tuned for that if you're interested in that. Go check out my Twitch and my Twitter in the description. I stream on Twitch sometimes, but not a ton. And then Twitter I use all the time. I update my player rankings as well on there that I just made a video on. So go check that video out as well as my Twitter. I update those every week on there. So yeah, go check those out. And yeah, let's get right into it. So we'll start here at the bottom tier of bad teams. And we'll start with Bleed, who are removing Ye and bringing in Crazy Guy, which I think just lowers their overall firepower, which was the only thing this team had slightly going for them. While Ye definitely was not good for this team, he still was better than what Darion is going to be on Duelist for, what I think. Now, I do think this team could get better in terms of vibes with Crazy Guy in the team, but also, I don't know if, swapping out one player is enough to fix that. Maybe it is, but I just don't see that happening. I still think this team is going to suck. Maybe not the worst team in the league, but I still don't think they're going to be very good. I think they have the least chance of being good, despite having some nice players in there like Zest and Scary. Then moving on to DFM, who started off the split kind of hot, showed some nice stuff against T1, did some nice stuff in some of their other games, but overall just kind of fizzled out as the season went on. I do think they found a Stark Duelist in May, but the rest of that roster is not great, and they just play such a slow style that it leads to them getting killed in some of these games and just super hard red on some of these, especially with a lot of teams gamble stacking a lot in this meta and stuff like that. It's just not great for them. But I don't know. This team has more hope than they did last year, where they were, at the bottom of every power ranking for me, but still not in a good spot at all. Then you have Global, who I have actually moving up 2 spots here, which might be a little bit surprising, but I really think this Benkai IGL swap is going to work out for them. They're going to be a better team than they were throughout all of last split, where I had them at the bottom pretty much every week for my power rankings. So I don't know. I think the Benkai IGL will be better than the Rust IGL, but I don't think it'll be significantly better to the point where it fixes this team, especially with all the firepower issues on Global. I don't see this working out for them long term at the end of the year, but maybe they can pick up some wins and kind of build some momentum into the next season, as long as they don't blow up their roster like they did last year, which is definitely possible. And moving on, at number 8, I have Zeta, who just did not live up to my own expectations during Split 1, just because I expected them to be a very good team that could get wins based off firepower and stuff like that, because I really do believe in all of the individual players on this team, and I still do. At this point, with how long he's been doing it for, I just don't think you can trust the Laz IGL. He could be a very vocal player on a team, and I still believe that he wants to and could become an IGL at some point. He just needs more experience on top of that, and then maybe bring in a good IGL to call for Zeta, and then have Zeta, or not for Zeta, have Laz call after him or something like that if they end up removing him at some point. Something like maybe what Les and Loud are doing, with Les and Sadak, where they were trying to develop Les into an IGL at some point. That could be in play for Laz, but right now I think he just needs to become a player. So this team will actually be good, but they also don't have any other player who really can IGL. Euron and Hiroron are both very young. I think Sugar tried it a bit last year. They were tossing that role around a bunch, and I just don't think that worked either. And then Depp is playing Duelist, so I highly doubt he would be IGLing. So I don't know, just not a great team. I do believe in the individuals here. I still had Depp number 4 in my Duelist rankings. I'd Hiroron smack dab in the middle. Same thing with Euron. Maybe Euron a little bit lower for that. Sugar 0 in the middle, and Laz towards the top of my Sentinel rankings, but Laz is towards the bottom of my IGL rankings, and in Pacific, that's usually a big problem. Then you have T1, who I know this is going to seem crazy to have them this low when they qualified for Shanghai, but if you don't think that's a fluke after seeing what happened at Shanghai, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this team got worse. Or, okay, so they were bad in split one, barely snuck into playoffs, then won one game against a weakened opponent, I think, and then won. I mean, I guess they won two games, so technically they won two games, but they got a fluke win over Genji, pretty much, and then got destroyed in both other games to lose out, like by Paper Rex and by Genji again. So take that as you will. And then they got destroyed at Shanghai as well. And then they're going to be bringing in Stacks here, who I do think is an upgrade over Carpe, but I don't think the 6-man roster idea that this team is going to be bringing out will be an upgrade over what they had during Split 1, if that makes sense. So, I don't know, just a weird team. I also think there's teams that are getting better than them, either by development or other roster changes and everything like that. So, I don't know, just a team in not a good spot. Then you got Team Secret, who had a pretty nice Split 1, in my opinion, for where my expectations were at for them. But they ended up swapping out Borkum and NDG, who were just getting into form. Like, I thought they were playing a lot better down the line for during Split 1. So, like, the last couple of games of the season and playoffs. Sorry, I just had completely blanked. And yeah, I thought that roster move was weird, as I said in my roster moves video that you can go check out. But I don't know, man. This team's not in a great spot. I think Jeremy's going to fall off in terms of form a little bit, or at least in terms of stats, because I don't think he was playing unbelievably well like the stats would show. But he was still playing well, and I don't think he's been that great of a duelist most of the time. I do like Vash and Envy still. I still think this team has potential, but I like a lot of the teams above them a little bit more. Then in this lots of potential tier on their own, we have Talon, who I talked about in the player rankings video. Man, there's a lot of potential in this roster, as I have just said, and the tier says, and I said in another video, so I'm just repeating myself at this point. But Governor is so good. I think, even though I had him rated like 7th, I still think he's a really great duelist player and has, again, a ton of potential to grow and become one of the best duelists in Pacific. I think Ban has the same thing for in terms of flex players. Cruz has a lot of potential as an IGL. I think he's had some good games and some bad games as a caller. You just got to find that more consistency in terms of that. And I don't think calling is their big thing. I think it's more of like the set stuff for this team right now. But once they start to grow and become more of a like cohesive unit, I think Cruz will be better in terms of a caller, and I think the whole team will be better as well. And then Jit Boys has been playing pretty well in the smokes. I think he was better on Senti, but it's not like a huge gap. And then I think Surf, he showed a lot in Split 1, and I think he was pretty solid. You do want to see a little bit more consistency in terms of that, but it was his first time playing Sentinel. I'm willing to give him a big pass, and yeah, he's, again, has a ton of potential for this team. Then moving on to the great teams tier, since I don't want to do one clip of one team, you have DRX, who made an interesting change, removing Stacks and bringing in Flashback, who plays a different role and also doesn't IGL. And they're moving the IGL to Bane, who is a first-time IGL for this team that needs to like actually meet expectations. And moving Foxy 9 off the role that he was very good at for this team. I just don't understand. That being said, they will still be better than almost every team in Pacific, except for 3 teams here, obviously. So just not, it's just not great, honestly. I don't know how to feel about this because, again, I still think they will be the 4th best team in Pacific. I just don't know if they will be good enough to even make champs, because I do have a team that has not had a lot of champs points here over them in RRQ, who just brought in Monyet, which I think is such a great addition to this roster, bringing in, I want to say a world-class player, but I don't think he's quite there yet. He's like very close to that, but like maybe an all-region player in terms of like being one of the best players in the region. I would say Monyet is that caliber right now. which is probably their only player of that caliber right now. Maybe you could argue Jemkin is, but I wouldn't go that far. But regardless, just amazing roster building from this team, as I thought in the offseason. I thought they picked up some nice players in Jemkin. Estrella is now their IGL, who I think has been pretty good for them. And then Zephyro has been getting better on the Sentinel as well, just kind of slowly like improving throughout the course of the season for him. And then who's the other player? Estrella and Elmi Moore, who I didn't think was very great on the Sentinel. He had some very questionable decisions that he made. But once he swapped over to the Initiator for this team, he was bragging. And I don't know what to think of that because a lot of it was his shooting, but I do think the usage was good, especially on the Sova. So you could see him getting even better at that and becoming an even better player, which would be great for this team. And just another team that needs to keep developing, but I think they are already kind of there at the top of Pacific right now. So that's why I didn't have them in the lots of potential tier, but I still think they are a great, great team. I don't think they're quite on the level of Paper X and Gen G right now, but I do think they're almost there. And then I'm just going to kind of breeze through these top two because it's pretty self-explanatory. I think Paper X will be better than they were at Shanghai, at Champs, and at what's it called? What's it called? Split 2. Yeah, that's what you call it. But I don't think they'll be better than Genji. Genji's been the best team all season, in my opinion. They made the finals of Madrid. They won Shanghai. And I think they have better players in almost any role. I would take Texture over Jing. I did take something over Munchkin, but Munchkin's the IGL. For Initiator, I did take Devi over Lakia, but that's very close. You could argue that, honestly. In terms of right now, Charon is clear of Mind Freak, and I don't think it's that close right now, because Mind Freak had a terrible Shanghai, dude. And I think he and Devi just will have some bad events, and I think that'll get better now. And then, who's Sentinel? And then, yeah, you would take Forsaken over. So, like, it is kind of even, but I did say I would take every player on Genji over every player on Paper X, and then I proceeded to take 3 players of Paper X over 3 players on Genji. But point is, both teams are insane. Paper X will be better down the line here. I don't think Genji will be. I don't think they'll win champs after this. I don't think, but they still will be very, very good and be one of the best teams in the region, if not the best. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below of these power rankings. I do think some of these takes will be controversial, specifically this tier of Team Secret, T1, and Zeta. But regardless, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.